Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna bring you an album review, and this is I guess, a newer release. It came out this year, and so yeah, a lot of you guys might not even know that I've listened to this band. Actually, I've been listening to this band for about 2 years now. I've known about them since 2015, back when they released their album, The Congregation. That's when I started listening to them, and the band is called Leprous. A lot of you know by the title. um, and I wouldn't really consider myself a huge fan, but I do like their music to an extent. I feel like a lot of the things I don't like about them, though, is the lack of energy, and I feel like they could just be consistently heavier and not be as repetitive at times, but I do enjoy a bit of their music. I liked a lot of the stuff from The Congregation, their last album, and that came out in 2015. And so now, a couple years down the road, we got this new album from Leprous. It's called Malina, I think that's what it's called. So yeah, this is I'm going to review Leprous's new album, Malina. And keep in mind too that this I actually have it scripted this time. Because I've only listened to it once, so I figured before I forgot anything I wanted to say in the review, I have it right here. But I did want to tell you guys my history with the band. Like I said, I started listening to them like a couple of years ago. I haven't really been a consistent fan though. Like, I haven't followed them too much. Like, at the beginning of this year or some point, I was like, oh, I remember that band. They're making new music? So yeah, I guess this band and this album kind of slid under my radar, and then I finally gave the full thing a listen, and so I figured if it's a new release, I should probably review it. So yeah, the opening track is Bonneville, I believe that's how you say it, and it starts off quite slower, and it makes you wonder how heavy is this album. Because I know some people might go into this album thinking oh boy, what's this going to be about, but then you go some tracks down the line, and then you realize that there are some heavy elements here and there. Now, I never really considered Leprous to be a metal band, because like I said, they're not heavy enough to be considered metal in my eyes. But you could call them alternative metal, because I do think that's more suiting for them. From the Flame was the first single from this record, and it also was the first song I've ever heard from this album, and I knew at first listen that nothing has really changed in their sound, so they have stayed pretty consistent. Overall, I did think this song was pretty good. One thing that I did like about this album, though, is the variety. There are heavier moments and there are softer moments. The second half of this album is what really did it for me, I think. Songs like Mirage, and what's the other one? The Weight of Disaster, have such outstanding instrument work. And the song, I think it's Coma, it reminded me of something from their last album, The Congregation. So if you are someone who was a huge fan of that album, I do recommend you check out that song, because you might like it. I figured the title track, Millennia, was a track worth mentioning, because it has some of the best vocal work on this record. It has a nice mood, I think, so yeah, this might have something for you here. And the closing track is a track that I did want to talk about because, man, Leprous, they never cease to disappoint me with their album closers. They are one of the few bands that I think they know how to close out an album. They know to do it with more experimentation, that's because I really did enjoy the closing track from their last album, Lower. I thought that was an excellent closer. But the closer to this album, The Last Milestone, I would even consider it as good as the closing track from their last record. It's so good. It has violins. You know, the violins are the main instrument used throughout the entire song, and there's a violin solo, I believe, and it's really great. And the vocals too. I can't forget about the vocals. They really sound nice, and it kind of sounds opera-y sounding. So, yeah, and I think it's a good way to close the album for sure. And yeah, I mean, Leprous, they did it. I think they put out a pretty darn good album. I'm gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10. Pretty darn good album. Is it better than their last album, The Congregation? I'd say it's just as good, if not better. The only thing, I felt like the tracks from their last record were a bit catchier, I think, than the songs on than Malina. So I don't know, but I rate them about the same, like 8 out of 10. So yeah, pretty darn good record. Even though I've really only heard 2 full albums from them, with being this record and The Congregation. I've heard a little bit of their early stuff, but never really heard like an entire full album from their old stuff. So yeah, if you're new to this band, you should check out this album, because I do think this is actually a good one to start off with. Surprisingly, I usually don't say that about new releases. Like I never say, oh, this is a good one to start with. But Leprous, they're a pretty straightforward band, and I think and they're pretty consistent with their sound. So you can listen to this album and pretty much have an opinion on the band from this album. And I can tell you, your opinion might be the same as mine. Like, you like them, but you're not like the biggest fan of them. But I really did enjoy this record. It actually was pretty darn good. So I want to know what you guys think of Millennia by Leprous. So be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.